Hey everyone, welcome back to Patriot Ridge Farm. Mike out here again, doing the one thing that I lack serious skills at, and that is carpentry. But I'm doing it, and I keep trying, and even though I keep screwing up most of the time, it's turning out pretty decent. Ouch. When I grew up, I didn't have a lot of exposure to this, and what exposure I did have to it, I was way more interested in other stuff like dirt bikes and anything that kept me out of the house, out in the woods. So while I wouldn't trade my childhood for anything, these were some skills that I wish I really would have gained. Doesn't mean I'm too old not to learn. And it's pretty simple. Not a whole lot of detail involved in this. Ouch. So, let me give you an idea of what we're doing here. All right, so yeah, I know it looks like hell right now. We started closing in the pig shelter yesterday, and I left the boards at the length they were already at. I cut a couple of them just because the tops were really bowed and it was preventing me from getting them lined up real good. What I'll do is I'll come through with the reciprocating saw and just saw those off right at the top. And we got the front done last night. We got all the nailers up on it. Then I've been out here just kind of plugging along on the side this morning, trying to get this done. Ended up running out of screws last night, so I had to run afterwards and go stock up on screws and a couple other little things. But yeah, it looks kind of crazy right now, but like I said, we'll just cut those right off, no big deal. I'm trying to match these boards up edge to edge as best as I can, but of course it is rough cut lumber, so there's various stages of boards in here. Like this is probably the second cut off of the log. Still got some live edge to it and everything. There's some bark, and it got a pretty good gap. But I've got a bunch of these boards. They're like, I don't know, 3/4 inch by 3 or 4 inch right there. And I can use those as batten boards, just put them right up against this. And there's plenty of those, so I can get these gaps covered up. And that batten look, I really like it because it gives it that more rustic look. Now this is green lumber, meaning it's still wet. So putting them vertically, they dry faster. They will shrink. That's why I'm using screws instead of nails, and pigs like to rub. So I figured 3-inch deck screws would be a little bit more difficult to work loose over some time than a typical nail. But I'll come through and I'll batten these, and probably next summer sometime, depending on how weather goes, these should be dried out enough and I can come out here and treat them with something. Maybe some linseed oil or some kind of stain or something like that, because you don't want to do it when they're at this stage. 10-day forecast looking really nice. It's pretty heavily overcast out here today. It's about 50 degrees. Perfect weather to be out here working, not sweating yourself to death, and cooking in the tropical rainforest. So, you know, this isn't difficult. It's not hard. I just set a 2x6 on the ground, set my board on it, lean it up against, and that keeps the bottom of the boards up off of the ground, which I'm sure after the pigs get in here, it's going to wear it down. There's going to be mud all over the place. We know that. But I want to get these walls closed in, because after I get the walls closed in, I'll come through and I'll trim all this off, and I'll start dumping a bunch of wood chips in here. I'm going to put a 2x4 across here as a threshold, because pigs can step over a 2x4, no big deal at all. But I'm going to put a good heavy layer of wood chips in here. Then I'm going to put a couple bales of straw in here, so she'll have it for the winter. Keeps with the crown, how I filled this and worked this out with the crown, it'll kind of keep most of the water and the moisture out of there, and that gives her a good base layer for the winter. Boris, he's fine. He's got a shelter. I'll put some wood chips in it. I'll put a bigger tarp on it to where it covers down the sides more, and I'll put some wood chips and some straw in there, and he's fine. He's 700 some pounds. He can stay warm, trust me. I've seen that pig get up off the ground and steam roll up off the ground from where he's laid there. And even with last year's winter, you know, 2 feet of snow, freaking sub-zero temperatures and stuff, that dude was fine. At no point did he show any signs of being cold or, you know, had me worried about anything. So I'll just keep plugging along on this. I get home in the evenings about 5 o'clock. By the time I get home, change clothes, the boys and the girls already taking care of the animals. I can just come right out here and start throwing boards up there. And I should have this thing closed in no time. And then, like I said, I'll go through and do the rest of that, and then put the roof on it after I get the wood chips in there. It'll make it easier for me just to dump the wood chips in there with the top open like that. And we'll get the roof on it, open up the gate here, let Coke in here, close that gate. Now she's got a whole different paddock for the winter, and I can get that little pallet house of hers tore down, and at some point get started on a new shelter there for her. And honest to goodness, I have no regrets about not breeding her yet again this year, because I would not want to go through this coming winter after another drought that we just had. I wouldn't want to go through this winter again trying to raise 8, 10, 12 piglets again, just because. So I'm glad we decided to hold off on breeding her again. Now, I've been watching her for heat cycle. I think I might have missed it in October. So I've been watching her for November. That way I know when we're ready to order the semen for artificial insemination, that I can kind of get my dates there and everything like that, and know when to order it and when to come out here and start working with her to get her artificially inseminated for early spring piglets. And by that time, this will be done, and she'll have a nice little farrowing area here and everything like that. And I may actually have that done over there where her current terrible shelter is. But that's what's, I mean, it's coming along pretty good. It's not hard work. It's just matching boards up, because, like I said, some of them are crowned out like this, some of them are crowned in like that. And, you know, you've got some live edge and just varying stages of cuts through the lumber. That's why they sell it as farm lumber, because it's definitely not perfect. But it's working out good. I'm real happy with it. I think this is going to look pretty decent when it's done, even though I'm an amateur at best when it comes to this kind of stuff. And thank goodness for battery operated tools, because I hate to think I had to be out here with a generator and power cords and everything else trying to do all this and tripping all over power cords. So yes, the invention of battery powered tools makes everything wonderful. And the best part of this is like I said, even though I'm an amateur when it comes to any kind of carpentry skills and stuff like that, this is a pretty simple design, pretty simple setup, and fairly easy to do. It doesn't take a whole lot of figuring to get this done. Just get your corners set. Now, this thing's not perfectly square. We knew that. And the ground's not level. We didn't level the ground out when we built this. We intentionally left it crowned. So, yeah, it's not going to match up perfectly, but the pigs aren't going to complain. All right, now, I'll try to keep this kind of short today, but I do want to touch on this topic. And if I hit that stop button again, it'll be the third time I've done it and screwed this video up. I do want to touch on something, and that is, and don't stop the video, don't skip, I want you to hear this. Government shutdown. I'm not going to get into left and right politics here. Government shutdown. A lot of folks affected by this right now. 42 million people losing their SNAP benefits, people working without getting pay. Those are government workers. Now, my wife and I are blessed in the fact that, you know, we're registered nurses, and who we work for in the government, our funding is different, so it doesn't affect us. We're still getting paid every 2 weeks like we normally do, and thank the good Lord above for that. But if we weren't getting paid, here's the best part of that is, number one, we've got food. And the reason we've got food is because we've prepared for times just like this. Being prepared for emergency situations or any kind of crisis, even if it's a personal financial crisis, those food stores that we have set aside will help us get through that time. And yes, if you're receiving SNAP benefits and are part-time employed, unemployed, or whatever, you can do the same thing. You don't have to go large scale all at once. You can put non-perishable food stores away. I don't know anybody that can't go buy rice, beans, canned chili, beefaroni, ravioli, you know, just simple canned goods that are shelf stable like that. Not, of course, not the best, not the healthiest out there, but it's food nonetheless if you're going hungry. Just simple things like that. If you've get your SNAP benefits when you go to the grocery store, stop buying junk. You don't need to buy Coke and Pepsi and Mountain Dew. You don't need to buy a bunch of candy and stuff like that. You need to buy good, wholesome food that's got calories, that's going to help you through tough times. You're already living in tough times. I'm assuming if you're receiving SNAP benefits, you're already living in tough times. And I assume that because, guess what? When I was a kid, we received assistance. When my dad was a millwright, when he would get laid off, my mom wasn't employed. My mom was a housewife. She raised the kids. Guess what? We received assistance. When my mom and dad divorced, my mom went to work in the coal mines. She was a coal miner, one of the first women coal miners in the state of West Virginia. And guess what? The pay wasn't what it is today. And we received assistance. So yes, I've eaten commodity cheese. I've had canned butter and all that other stuff that they used to give out with that. It's canned pork and everything like that. So yes, I've been on assistance before when I was a kid. And that's the bad thing about West Virginia is now, I mean, this is like one of the worst states in the nation to get a job. Low skill job, okay? And I'll put it to you that way. I guess, I don't know what the thought process is anymore. But there seems to be a majority of people who just believe that they can graduate high school or get a GED and go out and get a job and make something of themselves and have absolutely no marketable skills whatsoever. And I don't understand that. I don't know why they have that thought process. And I can tell you, having kids in the public school system, they don't teach them anything about life. They teach them nothing about life. It's academics straight across the board. It's here's how you figure out this problem. So here's a math problem. Use this pattern to figure out this simple. Make it more complicated. Make the solution more complicated than the problem. And it's absolutely true. And I understand it's our job. It's our job as parents to raise our kids to be ready for life when they're done with school. Okay, when it's time for them to go out in the scary big world all on their own, that we instill those life skills in them. And we work very hard to do that with our kids. We have to, because like I said, the public education system is not teaching them anything. There's no more shop class. I don't even know if they have home economics in high school anymore. But simple home ec class, teaching people how to cook, teaching people how to sew. Hell, I had that stuff when I was in junior high. And even in high school, we had home economics. And they taught you that kind of stuff. Teach them how to open up a checking account, how to write a check, how to pay bills, how to balance a checkbook or balance an account. Hardly anybody uses checks anymore, I guess. But there's no marketable skills when they come out of school. It's like they're preparing them on paper to receive a piece of paper, and that's it. That's it. I mean, unless you go to a VOTEC school, vocational technical school, once you hit high school, and you get into something like auto mechanics, ag mechanics, agribusiness, what was the other one called? I think it was called DECA or something like that, and it was all kinds of like crazy stuff. But I mean, it was real practical skills. People could leave there and go right to work outside of the home, outside of school and everything, and at least have some base knowledge of what they were doing. And we're just not doing that anymore. So I think our whole education system really needs to be just completely overhauled. And again, it is up to us parents to take care of our kids, to make sure that they have those skills and they understand that stuff. My kids, they don't, I'm not going to say my kids don't have common sense, but we try to teach them, look at what you're doing. Stop trying to figure out the pattern of the solution that you've been taught in school. Look at the problem. How do you fix it? Here's the problem. Here's the solution. Not a pattern of blocks and series of this and this and this and this and this and this to get 1 + 1 = 2, or 5 × 5 = 25. And you got to go through 6, 8, 9 blocks to get through that to get that simple answer. There's no rhyme or reason to that. There's no rhyme. The kids' math today, I feel like a freaking idiot when I look at that. I'm like, how? This is the answer. Yes, Daddy, we know that's the answer, but we have to use this process. And I'm like, that process doesn't teach you anything. It doesn't teach you anything that you're going to use in real life. If you're driving your car and you get a flat tire, the only process is you make sure your car's stable, it's flat, you're away from traffic, moving traffic. You make sure that you get the jack in the right place, that you're safe when you break those lug nuts and raise that car up and pull them tires off, put that new tire on, hand tighten your lug nuts and go through and tighten your lug nuts up, lower the jack and move along. But the way they make stuff anymore in public school is ridiculous. It's 5 times the work just to get the same answer or the same solution. It's crazy. And I can tell you, public school reminds me so much of government, of bureaucracy, because there are simple processes and simple ways to do things. It takes less time, you get the same outcome, but you have to put it on paper. And you have to follow these steps. And those steps don't give you any different result than doing it the simple way. I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old dummy out here building pig shelters and looking forward to my retirement so I can continue to build my farm, raise my animals, raise my own food, and be with it like that. But the simple solution to all of this is yes, you do not have to have a nuclear war, an EMP, a grid down situation, or anything like that to practice good emergency preparedness. Just the simple act of buying a couple extra this, couple extra that when you go grocery shopping, putting that stuff aside and rotating your stock. Every time you go grocery shopping, you buy a couple extra things that you normally eat, that are shelf stable, that you can put on a shelf and not have to worry about refrigeration or electricity to create it. And just put that stuff aside and have that. And when hard times happen, you lose SNAP benefits, you have a personal financial crisis or something happens like that, you've got food there to fall back on and you can survive on that. It's simple. It's simple. Don't turn this into something. You don't have to become a conspiracy theorist. You don't have to become a survivalist. You don't have to dig a bunker. You don't have to do none of that kind of stuff. Just be smart about things. I mean, my God, how long have we been in this shutdown now? Over 3 weeks, coming up on 4 weeks now. And I don't know the timeline. I'm trying to think of it here. But the simple part of it is every time a continuing resolution comes up, with the atmosphere that we see in politics today, with the next continuing resolution, if they finally get the government open back up this time, by the time the next vote comes around, somebody's going to be pissed off about something and somebody's going to piss somebody else off, and both parties are going to ball up their fists and they're going to shut down the government again, and people are going to lose their SNAP benefits, people are going to work without pay. It's going to happen all over again. It's going to continue to happen. Be smart. Don't overthink it. Buy a couple extra non-perishables every time you go shopping and put it aside. And that way, when something happens, you've got it on hand. Don't make it more complicated than what it already is. YouTube is a phenomenal resource for education on stuff like that, how-to, simple steps. Like I said, most people have a phone, most people have the internet, and the majority of people use social media and stuff. Get out there, use that stuff, man. Don't make it difficult. Protect yourself, protect your family, have that stuff set aside, so when stupid crap like this by dumbass politicians happen again, you can just kind of sit back and say, okay, time's going to get tough. I've got food to fall back on. I've still got water. I've still got a house, a roof over my head. Do what you got to do. Take care of it. All right, back to work, building my pig Taj Mahal. Stay prepared, stay free. God bless y'all.